Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, deliberations are continuing in the trial of Daniel Penny, the UnitedHealthcare CEO assassinated in New York City. Laken Riley's murderer wants a new trial. The Colorado dentist that's charged with killing his wife by poisoning her is now charged with trying to kill the lead detective in the case. A man is accused of killing his 80-year-old roommate. And we have this day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, hit that little bell for notifications, and yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, also, please go to crimetalksearch.com, get that background subscription service today. When you sign up, you can get a background search done literally while you wait on any number of people that you want here in the United States. Anyone, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to get a report literally generated there, and it's going to be emailed to you, and you're going to be able to get updates as well if any of the information changes, and you're going to be able to get information on somebody coming new into your life, or maybe somebody you just want to check out. Where do they live? Neighbors, associates, jobs, education, usernames on social media that maybe they're not telling you about, all their social media sites, photos, whether they've ever been arrested, do they have a criminal history, do they have bankruptcies, liens, and judgments, everything that people usually don't tell you about, when you first meet them, but you probably want to know before you really get to know them. So go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. And first on the docket, the Daniel Penny matter. That's right. Deliberations are continuing in the trial of Daniel Penny. He's obviously charged in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely on the subway last year. Now, the deliberations began Tuesday afternoon. And between Tuesday and early this morning on Wednesday, the jury has been deliberating for at least 5+ hours. Now, jurors did send a note to the judge Wednesday morning requesting to see a video compilation depicting the events on May 1st, including the body cam video, witness cell phone videos, and Penny's station house interview. This follows a note sent Tuesday afternoon requesting a readback on the justification defense and the definition of the crimes charged. Now, the jury of 7 women and 5 men are deciding if, obviously, Mr. Penny is guilty of manslaughter or criminally negligent homicide in the case of, obviously, Mr. Neely's death. But who has piped in on this case? Mayor Eric Adams. I don't know, this guy must have got red-pilled after he got indicted himself. But he went on a podcast or a radio show today, and he said that, hey, listen, those passengers, they were afraid. And he says that he's been on the subway system, and as a former police officer, he's had to wrestle or fight with somebody. And it's imperative that we look at the totality of this problem. Now, Mayor Adams praised Penny for taking an action-based approach in response to Neely's threats to the passengers that day. We're on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people, the mayor said. You have someone on that subway who is responding, doing what we should have done as a city in a state, having a mental health facility. Adams added that the photographs that circulated showing Neely as a subway performer impersonating Michael Jackson skewed the public's perceptions. It seemed like he was just a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and they tried to give that impression, the mayor said. When you look at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that who we were dealing with was a young, innocent child, a Michael Jackson imitator that was just brutally assaulted, not a mentally ill man on a subway threatening people and saying that he was willing to die and not go back to jail. Well, at least we know where the mayor lands. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It's finally, that's what a public official should do on a case like this and say, it's the bigger problem that's going on. And this guy, Daniel Penny, is a hero. I've been unbiased on this matter. I think Daniel Penny never should have been charged, but the worst DA in America, Alvin Bragg, does everything for political and racial reasons, and that's why this case is being prosecuted. Now, for some that don't recall, Neely, the dead guy, has a long rap sheet and has a history of mental illness. And when the Mr. Neely stepped on the F train on the day at issue, he began making threats to passengers and said he wasn't afraid to go back to jail. Well, witnesses for the prosecution said Neely was acting erratically on board the train last May, and Penny's defense team said he was protecting subway riders and only intended to restrain Neely and hold him from police. Prosecutors say that Penny behaved recklessly when he grappled with Neely by the neck for the next 6 minutes. The city medical examiner ruled that Neely died from compression of the neck, but a pathologist hired by the defense contradicted that finding, attributing the death to a variety of other factors, including drug use on the behalf of Mr. Neely, sickle cell crisis, and just overall poor health. So if the jury convicts Mr. Penny of manslaughter, he's looking at 15 years in prison. And obviously, it's 4 years if he's found guilty of the criminally negligent homicide. I'm really hoping the jury does the right thing. I really do. He is not guilty. He did not intend to kill that man. I don't think it was reckless. What's reckless is going on a train, approaching people, attempting to harm them, to scare them, to threaten them. And then when somebody protects everybody on the train and the guy that's threatening everybody dies, I don't see it, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag free Daniel Penny, ladies and gentlemen. Next, a CEO is assassinated. I think that's the best way to describe it. Take a look at this surveillance footage obtained just moments before the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, was shot dead outside of a Manhattan Hilton hotel. Now, Mr. Thompson was seen leaving the hotel about 6:45 a.m. this morning, Wednesday, when a masked assailant draws out a gun with a silencer and shoots him in the back. Now, let's face it, this is New York City, ladies and gentlemen. I thought handguns were illegal. I certainly know you're not going to get a silencer in New York City. This seems like a professional job. Anyway, so Thompson, who's the head of the largest healthcare insurance company in the United States, stumbled away from the attacker. The gunman follows him and continues firing into the CEO as he hit the ground. The assassin then fled the scene and escaped into Central Park on a bike, with the New York Police Department releasing images of the assassin to aid in the search, and there's now a $10,000 reward. Now, witnesses said the suspected gunman was seen waiting for some time outside a hotel before the shooting and knew which door the Thompson was probably going to come out of and then open fire on him. Now, several people were seen in the footage standing nearby when Thompson was hit, with one woman sprinting down the street after being just a few feet away from the shooting. Now, Mr. Thompson was named the UnitedHealthcare CEO back in 2021 and earned a reported $10 million. And for several years prior to that, ran the Medicare business within UnitedHealthcare. He was slated to speak at an investor meeting at the Hilton Hotel soon after the shooting, and according to a release from UnitedHealthcare, he was going to announce that the company's was quite profitable for 2025, and they expected revenue to reach $450 billion. Now, the suspect remains at large and is described as a white male wearing a cream-colored jacket, black face mask, black and white sneakers, and a gray backpack. Now, people have also reported that the Thompson, who lives in Minnesota with his wife and children, was not a guest at the hotel but had arrived early to prepare for the presentation. Now, the gunman apparently knew the door that he was going to come out of before he shot him and then fled on the bike, like I mentioned. Now, according to Mr. Thompson's wife, a lady by the name of Paulette, she states that her husband had been receiving threats before his trip to New York, but she wasn't able to elaborate as to what those threats were about. Now, the DOJ did also open a criminal investigation looking at the company, but, those aren't going to go anywhere. Those are just kind of billing things to keep the government busy, and then the defense attorneys get to charge and they reach a settlement or something of some kind. But seems like a professional hit. Gonna see how this one shakes out, ladies and gentlemen. This could be very, very interesting. Next, Laken Riley's murderer is demanding a new trial. That's right. The man convicted of killing Georgia nursing student Laken Riley and sentenced to serve life in prison without the possibility of parole has asked for a new trial. As you may recall, just a few weeks ago, the judge there in Georgia, Patrick Haggard, found Jose Ibarra guilty of murder and other charges in the February killing. Now, Mr. Ibarra had waived his right to a jury trial, so the judge was deciding his fate. Deciding the fact whether he was guilty or not. And obviously he found him guilty of all counts and sentenced him immediately to life in prison. Now, attorneys for Mr. Ibarra filed a motion for a new trial today, and the filing states that the verdict is contrary to law and contrary to the evidence, and that the court committed other errors of law that necessitate a new trial. Now, the lawyers didn't elaborate, but wrote that Ibarra reserves the right to supplement the motion after a full and thorough view of the facts and circumstances attendant to the trial of this case. Basically, this is kind of just a perfunctory motion that's being filed. The chances of Mr. Ibarra getting a new trial from the judge who found him guilty, who heard all the facts, are about slim to none. Oftentimes, in some states, you need to file a motion for a new trial to preserve your rights to appellate issues. This is a perfunctory motion. It means really nothing. So for those who aren't familiar with the case, prosecutors alleged and proved that Mr. Ibarra encountered Riley while she was running on the University of Georgia campus back in February of this year and killed her during a struggle where Mr. Ibarra was trying to rape her. Riley was a nursing student at the Augusta University of Georgia campus when she was killed. Now, under Georgia law, notice of appeal must be filed within 30 days of the conviction before coming final, which is the date of sentence or the denial of a motion for a new trial, whichever is later. Therefore, the filing of a motion for a new trial effectively extends the deadline to file an appeal. Don't expect a whole lot coming from that. Don't expect a whole lot of relief for Mr. Ibarra in that particular case. Tragedy all around. Next, that Colorado dentist accused of killing his wife is now in even more trouble for soliciting to kill the lead detective in the case. So the dentist accused of killing his wife by poisoning her protein shakes has been charged with trying to get a fellow jail inmate to kill a detective investigating the murder case. So prosecutors filed 2 new charges against James Craig in November: solicitation to commit murder as well as solicitation to commit perjury. The charging document does not say who Craig allegedly wanted to have killed, but a police spokesman for the Aurora Police Department confirmed that the alleged intended victim was the Aurora police detective. Now, records did not list a lawyer representing Mr. Craig because, his previous attorney, a very good attorney, Harvey Steinberg, withdrew from the case after he cited a professional conflict, just as Craig was about to stand trial for first-degree murder in the death of his wife. Now, prosecutors filed the new charges against Craig the following day. And needless to say, Mr. Craig's trial has been delayed indefinitely because, well, he needs an attorney. My guess is, sounds expensive, Mr. Craig, if you're looking for a counsel. Just saying. Come in, I don't know, maybe $250,000, $300,000. We can handle both. We'll give you kind of the volume discount, so to speak, on the solicitation and the homicide case. It's a reasonable fee. We charge by the hour, but that's a sufficient retainer. And if the matter gets resolved, we'll give you the unearned portion back. And obviously, if it goes beyond that retainer, we would have to make arrangements to make sure that retainer was replenished. You know how it works, Mr. Craig. Anyway, Mr. Craig's pled not guilty and is scheduled to appear in court, hopefully with a new lawyer, by December 16th. My guess is it's probably going to be the public defender's office. We'll wait and see. Now, for a little more background, Angela Craig died back in 2023 of poisoning from cyanide, as well as another substance found in over-the-counter eye drops, according to the coroner. Now, the good doctor, Mr. Craig, was also previously charged with smuggling a letter out of a jail with an inmate who bonded out. It asked her to make a fake video of Angela Craig asking Craig to get poison for her, according to the prosecutors. He's also accused of asking another inmate to plant forged journal entries at the Craig home, suggesting that Angela Craig killed herself. Needless to say, the inmate declined and went to authorities to get himself a better deal for himself. Now, Craig's original defense team pointed out that the inmate only contacted authorities after an initial hearing to review the evidence in the case, in which was widely covered by the media. Prosecutors also alleged Craig tried a more elaborate and convoluted approach to put the blame on his wife. In court records, they said he asked another former fellow inmate to find attractive women who would agree to testify at his trial, that they had affairs with him, and that Angela Craig found out, and they had refused to help him out as well. This guy sure comes across as desperate, doesn't it? And not looking good for the good doctor. I mean, we can certainly help you out. I would certainly have dollars, will travel. That's all I'm saying, Dr. Craig. I'll even call you doctor while you still got your license. Oh, that's right. It's probably been suspended by now. Anyway, next, a little more food violence. A man is accused of killing his 80-year-old roommate Wednesday after an argument in the kitchen in their home in Massachusetts. So police allege that Richard Lombardi, who's 65, assaulted his roommate Frank Griswold at their home, and he's 83. Anyway, Mr. Lombardi was charged with assault and battery on a person over 60, causing serious injury and involuntary manslaughter, and he has pled not guilty in the Plymouth District Court. Now, apparently, Mr. Lombardi told the police that he was cooking a meal and got into an argument with Frank Griswold, and that he did not want him in the kitchen touching the food. Everybody knows you don't touch the food if somebody else is cooking. Anyway, Mr. Lombardi said that Mr. Griswold often sneezes, and as the food for Thanksgiving was near the sink, he didn't want him to sneeze or contaminate the food. He said he left the kitchen and later returned to find Mr. Griswold near the food. Anyway, Mr. Lombardi told police he grabbed his roommate from behind and threw him aside, and surmised that Mr. Griswold's feet got tangled up and he fell and hit his head on the floor. He did see the victim, Mr. Griswold, near the food, going near the dishes, and that's when he went over and grabbed him, like I said, and threw him from behind, hit his head, and that's just the way it goes. Anyway, he became upset that his roommate was too close to the food and that he was going to cook. I get it. Anyway, Lombardi told police that he called 911 when he saw that Mr. Griswold was unconscious and bleeding from his head. Apparently, he had been laying face up on the floor in a pool of blood for just a little while before he called 911. Now, Mr. Lombardi's attorney says it sounds like an accident based upon the evidence of what has been revealed in court. And the attorney for Mr. Lombardi also said that Mr. Griswold and Mr. Lombardi had been friends for 30 years and roommates for more than 20. And apparently, that's right, Mr. Lombardi is devastated to learn that Mr. Griswold had in fact died. The pair apparently has lived together in the home since 2008, and they've been roommates since 2001. Mr. Lombardi is being held without bail. More food violence, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't get it. We got some more coming up for you, too. Next on the docket, this day in legal history, on December 4th, 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt established the Federal Alcohol Control Administration, known as FACA, by executive order under the National Industrial Recovery Act just prior to the formal end of Prohibition. FACA was charged with guiding legitimate wineries and distilleries under a system based on brewers' voluntary codes of fair competition. It effectively vanished from history after just 20 months when President Roosevelt in August of 1935 signed the Federal Alcohol Administration Act, the FAA Act, lodging alcohol regulation exclusively with the U.S. Department of Treasury, where it currently remains under the jurisdiction today under the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, formerly known as the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Now you know. And on this day in 1950, President Truman's emergency powers were challenged. That's right. There were legal challenges brought against President Truman's use of the emergency powers during the Korean War, sparking the debate over executive authority. Yes, we've had these debates forever. As you know, Korea was not an act of war because no war was ever declared, just like Vietnam. They were just police actions. So it goes into the whole issue of what was ultimately brought in was the War Powers Act. Really, if you're going to deploy troops, just declare war. It's a whole simpler thing. Just saying. Anyway, next on this date in 1982, December 4th, 1982, the Tylenol poisoning suspect was questioned. That's right. Authorities intensified their investigation into the Tylenol murders, which involved cyanide-laced capsules. Now, although the case remains unsolved, it led to widespread changes in product safety and tampering packaging for lots and lots of things. I don't know if most people probably don't remember this, but I do. 1982, I remember that. People were taking drugs over the counter. They were dying. And so they put on those annoying little caps to make sure people couldn't get them in. They were sealed so people couldn't get in and drop other pills into it. Who would have thought? Anyway, finally today, our dumb criminal of the day. So last Friday afternoon in Florida, a woman was arrested for strong arm robbery after she became hostile, both verbally and physically, after fast food workers failed to include 8 sauces in her mobile pickup order. This sounds like something worthy of an assault and robbery, doesn't it? I want my 8 little packs of sauce, dipping sauce. So according to the police reports, Mackenzie Keeling retrieved her grub from Raising Cane's, who doesn't love Raising Cane's, in Clearwater, later discovering that she was missing 8 packs of the Cane's sauce. Now, if you've eaten Cane's sauce, you know it's an acquired taste. You either love it or you don't, right? It's just, you either love it or you don't. Apparently, Miss Keeling loves it. Anyway, so Miss Keeling did what every rational person would do. She returned to the restaurant and spoke to the manager, who provided Miss Keeling with the dipping sauce. However, the manager declined Miss Keeling's request that she be provided with extra dipping sauce in return for her having to waste her time and gas to come back and get what was all rightfully hers. Anyway, after her sauce request was refused, Miss Keeling became hostile both verbally and physically and began yelling in the Raising Cane's, disturbing staff and customers, according to the felony filing. Now, during her alleged tirade, Miss Keeling shot out her right hand with force and struck the manager in the leg, cops allege, and then she tried to tear off the victim's key from the Cane's ID from the lanyard attached to the manager's belt. Apparently, the victim, the manager, was in fear, adding that the sauce squabble was witnessed by 2 Raising Cane's employees and, of course, captured on video surveillance footage. Well, Miss Keeling was arrested and booked into the county jail, for which she was released on a $2,500 bond. She's entered a plea of not guilty. Apparently, Miss Keeling resides about 10 miles away from the Raising Cane's, where she was arrested. And like I said, who doesn't love Raising Cane's? I mean, it's basically chicken nuggets. They're really good. They're really good. They're bad for you, really, but taste really, really good. And just to give a little bit of perspective here, the extra 1.5 ounce container of Cane's dipping sauce cost 39 cents. 39 cents, ladies and gentlemen. And she didn't say how many more dipping sauces that she wanted. Now, part of me is like, hey, Cane's, just give her the dipping sauce, right? The customer's always right. But Miss Keeling, come on. You got your dipping sauce. You paid for it. Move along. I don't think it's worth going to jail for. Felony charges over dipping sauce? Miss Keeling, you are a dumb criminal of the day. Congratulations, you made it. That's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.